Welcome everybody to my driver ratings for the 2025 Belgian Grand Prix. If you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we hop on the Twitch stream. We review everything that happened. We look at the race highlights, the drivers' reactions, F1 Fantasy, F1 Predict. We have a look through Discord. And then at the end, we do our driver ratings on Twitch and YouTube. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, come join us on Twitch. We are always live doing different things over there. And that will also be the place where you can vote to rate the drivers yourself. There'll be a little poll in chat, which I'll explain in a minute. So yeah, we're gonna get on into that now. Why do you need 1440p for your face stream? Well, 1440p just looks better and it gives more bitrate to the stream, so it looks better on YouTube. And I have the leg room to be able to stream in 1440p on YouTube. And I guess my point is, I was streaming 1440p for a year. What happened? Why did it just stop? Why did it just stop randomly? Like I just woke up, it was just like one day it was just like, nope, not 1440p anymore. It's just stupid. Anyways, let's get into the driver ratings. Now, before we get into it, we do this every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, and everyone rates differently, right? You know, everyone rates differently. But how I do it is we're going to go in reverse finishing order for the race. And we're going to rate each driver based off of their performance, how they did over the course of the weekend. Obviously, there was 4 sessions this weekend, with it being a sprint weekend. Obviously, race has the most weight, but we'll be looking at the whole, at their performance as a whole. And I'll solely be rating their performance. No bias, rookie bias, or expectation bias, just purely based off of their performance. So, starting off with Isaac Hadjar. Let me get the poll up in chat. There you go. Rate Isaac Hadjar's Belgian Grand Prix. Now, all you need to do is type in Twitch chat the number that you want to rate him out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through to 10. Again, if you're on YouTube, come join us on Twitch. That is where you can type in chat to get your vote in. But yeah, let's get into it. I wish I could be on Twitch, but logging onto Twitch on my phone is so annoying. Nah, fair enough, Doha. Chill in YouTube chat and enjoy. Sup, Owen. Recap of the whole race. Safety car took too long in the beginning. Well, we've been live for 2 hours so far, talking about the Grand Prix, which was pretty good considering it's the Belgian Grand Prix. But I think much shorter than what we normally do. Spend time on talking about a Grand Prix. Anyways, Isaac Hadjar, let's talk about it. So, whoo, this is going to be a big one. Sprint weekend, so much to talk about. So, in the sprint qualifying, Isaac Hadjar qualified P9. He out-qualified Liam by 1/10, but he made it through to SQ3, and Liam didn't. He got out-qualified by Gasly, Behrman, and Sainz. And Ocon. It would have been nice to see him do a little bit better in Oh, sorry. Yeah, he out-qualified Liam by 1/10, sorry. I would have liked to see him do a little bit better and out-qualify those guys in front. But still, he made it through to SQ3, which was good. And then in the race, he finished in P8 because Gasly got the water leak, which meant he didn't start the race. So Hadjar managed to have a point. Again, I think if he did better in qualifying, sprint qualifying, he would have finished higher up in the sprint. So there was a little bit of a room for improvement there. But again, he beat his teammate just and did what he was supposed to do, which is get a point. Then in qualifying, he qualified P8, again ahead of his teammate by less than a 10th, literally milliseconds. Wow, they were literally 10 milliseconds apart in Q2, 10 milliseconds apart in Q3. They are very, very tight at the moment. But Hadjar did out-qualify Liam. He was upset with his lap because he feels like if he had just done a little bit better, he could have out-qualified Yuki, Russell, and Albon. I wouldn't expect that from Hadjar, but if he did, that would have been amazing. So again, maybe a little bit of room for improvement, but I still think he's done an amazing job. Then in the race, unfortunately, he got overtaken by Liam, and then he had an issue with his car, which dropped into the back of the grid. And so he not only pitted at the wrong time, but he also had a problem with his car, and he finished in dead last. Look, I think that's not his fault. I mean, the only thing that was his fault was Liam getting past him, but maybe Liam got past him because of the issue. We'll never know. Either way, he did really good in sprint qualifying, room to improve. He did really good in the sprint. Could have been better if he did better in sprint qualifying. Qualifying, he did really good. And then in the race, he didn't really get to see. So with all that said, I'm going to give Hadjar a 7. You guys, what? How are you giving him 4, 5, 6? He literally had a great weekend. And the only reason he did bad in the race was no fault of his own. How are you guys giving him that low? Are you guys serious? I think Hadjar's had a very good weekend. I would give him, if he had to finish the race in the points, I would have given him an 8 or a 9. But I guess we'll never know. So I'm going to give him a 7. I think there's even room to give him a high rating because like it's not his fault what happened in the race happened. Yeah, fuck it. He deserves an 8. I guess there's room to improve in the sprint qualifying and the sprint and quali. I give 7.5, but it's just a shame that he got fucked. But yeah. Not waiting to listen to context. Oh my god, forgot about Hadja. I don't know how much the weigh-in is his said problem in the race. Wait, what? F1 app is saying your league code is invalid. Wait, really? Oh, are you making sure it's not a 0 or it's a 0 instead of an O? Just making sure one of the characters isn't wrong way around. What the fuck? You rate so high for a P20? We're rating his performance, not his result. If we're rating his result, we may as well give him a 1 because he finished last. No, we're rating his performance. It's not his fault. Yeah, it's the weekend rating. It's not race rating. Exactly. And it wasn't even his fault in the race. Anyways, you guys have given way too low of a rating. I'm not happy with you guys. Majority of you guys saying 5. Completely disagree. Disappointed. All right, moving on. Next driver, we have got a driver who has had no problems with his car. It's just slow. Franco Colapinto. What do you rank Franco rate Colapinto out of 10? Type in Twitch chat 1 through 10. Sluffix, thank you for the follow, dude. Welcome to the stream. I think you went a bit high, to be honest. What did Hadja do wrong? Hadja did well in sprint quali, sprint, and qualifying, and didn't get to show himself in the race. What did he do wrong? Anyways, Franco Colapinto, what do you rate him out of 10? Franco, in sprint qualifying, qualified second last. Just ahead of Kimi, who fucked up. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 4/10. Then, in the sprint, he managed to finish in dead last, getting overtaken by Kimi. Then, in qualifying, he did out-qualify Kimi, Fernando, and Stroll, but still got out-qualified by 2/10 by his teammate. And then, in the race, finished dead last, or second last, because Hadja had problems with his car. And his teammate finished 23 seconds up the road. Now, we don't normally go lower than a 3 unless they like crash and spin and stuff like that. But because he was so slow for multiple sessions, I give him a 2.5. At the end of the day, he didn't spin and crash, which is good. So I won't give him lower than a 2.5, but he was slow in all 4 sessions. So 2.5 it is for me. Matteo, Sluffix, Nightshade. Welcome to the stream, guys. What did Hadja do great to want a 7.5? I'd say 7 is max. What do you mean, what did he do great? He put a V-carb. He put a V-carb into SQ3 and got a sprint point. And he qualified P8. He did well. I mean, I guess you could argue that's where the V-carb should be, but he still did well. Anyways. We'll agree to disagree. What is that? What have you written in chat? Hadja was not much above Lawson like he normally is and got overtaken. Missed opportunity to sprint behind Sainz and Ocon. Right, okay. Anyways, back to Franco. I'm going to give him a 2.5. Obviously, this is not Twitch, but Colapinto had the most 2-rated race weekend of all time. I agree. Have you done Hamilton? No, we're going in reverse finishing order, so Hamilton will be later. All right, majority of you guys saying 2 for Franco. At least we agree on that one, right? Oh, wait, 1 sec. Is music playing to my YouTube stream? Oh, wait. 1 sec. Is music playing to my YouTube stream? Oh, wait. 1 sec. Is music playing to my YouTube stream? Oh, wait. 1 sec. Oh, fuck. My YouTube stream is going to get copyrighted because I'm playing music to it. See, this is what I mean. I don't... What? Like, I haven't changed any settings, and my YouTube streams just decided I'm not going to stream in 1440p. I'm going to use a different VOD track. I don't get it. Wait, VOD track is 1. Music. Audio. Wait. 1 sec. Let me see where music's going. It's going to audio, not the VOD track. So then the VOD track should be going... Shouldn't have... Yeah, I don't get this. My whole YouTube... Okay, well, we're not going to be playing music then. But I think my stream's still going to get taken down regardless. Fuck. Yeah, I pause the music now. Sorry, one sec. Let me try to fix this. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's happened to my YouTube multi-stream. Fucking hell, man. That's so annoying. Ah! One sec. This is what I hate about technology. All my settings are correct. I haven't touched anything. And YouTube's just like, yeah, but, sorry, OBS is just like, yeah, we're just not going to do what you say. And send a completely different stream out to... so annoying, man. So annoying. Alright, no music. Anymore. Okay. Anyways, we're done with Franco. Let's move on to the next driver. I just hope the VOD doesn't get taken down on YouTube, but if it does, then oh well. Okay, next up, we have got Carlos Sainz. What do you guys rate Carlos Sainz this weekend out of 10? Get it in, type it in chat. Genuine question, if all 20 drivers were in a McLaren, what position do you think Lando would be in the championship at the end of the season? Probably like 7th, 6th or 7th or something. Just rough off the dome. Something like that. Hello, just joined. What's up, Scarlet? But you don't get copyright on YouTube. Why do you get copyright on YouTube, not Twitch? YouTube's got completely different, like, copyright shit. Completely different. Restart YouTube stream? No, we'll just keep going. I can just cut it out of the VOD later. It'll be the same. Okay, Carlos Sainz. So, Carlos, in sprint qualifying, qualified P6. He did really, really well. He out-qualified Albon by 5/10. And he made it through all the way through to SQ3 and just missed out on out-qualifying Ocon. So yeah, a little bit, he could have done maybe a little bit better in a sprint qualifying, but overall, really, really good. And then in the sprint, he finished in the exact same position, P6, just behind Ocon again. Would have liked to have seen him finish ahead of Ocon, but still, great result for him. Then, completely changed in qualifying, went out in P15, got out qualified by his teammate by 2/10, and his teammate made it all the way through to Q3, and Carlos didn't. So yeah, 10 positions down his teammate. That's not great. And then in the race, he managed to go backwards somehow and finish in 18th. So yeah, good weekend in the sprint qualifying, good weekend in the sprint, but completely fell to bits in qualifying and the race. So I think I'm going to give him a... You're giving him a 5 or a 6. 5 or a 6. I mean, to be fair, he did get 4 points in the sprint, didn't he? So, like, that is good. But the qualifying and race, given where Albon finished, was not good. He had an awful race and an awful qualifying. Yeah, and race has more weight. I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go 5. I think it would be lower if... Well, it would be way lower if it was just a qualifying sprint. But I think, yeah... Race has more weight. I'm going to go 5. I think... Yeah, we'll go average weekend. The sprint and the sprint qualifying performance balances out the poor qualifying, the poor race. Yeah, 5 makes sense. All right, majority of you guys saying 6. You're delusional, but I knew that already. I'm joking, of course. Anyways, next up, we have got Fernando Alonso. It's so weird without music now. Unless you guys prefer it without music. What do you guys rate Fernando Alonso out of 10? He was good in the sprint. He had an awful race. I heard Lando had battery problems when Oscar overtook him. Is that true? I mean, he dumped all his battery, but apparently Piastri had battery problems as well. So, yeah. Also, sorry if I missed you answering this earlier with ads. Do you know which track Spa is being rotated? We don't know yet, Doha. We do not know yet, no. Okay. Fernando Alonso in sprint qualifying. Made it through to SQ2, out-qualified Stroll by 4/10. Probably the best he could have done with that car. And then in the sprint, finished in P14 behind Stroll. And then in qualifying, finished second last, out-qualifying Stroll by 2/10. And then in the race, finished behind Stroll. So yeah, not what happened in the race to finish that low down. Now, look, I don't think that's really Alonso's fault. It's mainly the car. But still. I think, you know, he out-qualified Stroll, but then finished behind him, and then out-qualified Stroll, then finished behind him. So I don't think he's really had a great weekend. So I'm going to say 3.5, I think. I think I'm going to go 3.5. There's the car. We'll go 4. We'll go 4. I don't know. It's so hard because, like, there's 4 sessions. The car's poo. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit inconclusive because of how poo the car is, but we'll go 3.5. We'll go 3.5. Yeah. Unless I did 2-stop and went for the wet setup, got screwed by the FIA. Right, I see. Okay, we'll go 3.5. Majority of you guys saying 4? All right, next up. We're kind of banging through these right now. Next up, we've got Kimi Antonelli. I guess not much really happened in the race, so there's not too much to talk about. Kimi Antonelli, what do you rate him out of 10? Now, he is an interesting one. He had a very bad weekend. Now, in sprint qualifying, he went out in dead last, made a mistake, and then in the sprint, only managed to move up 3 positions, 1 on a retired Gasly, 1 on Franco, who sucks, and 1 on Hulkenberg. So yeah, very poor sprint, but didn't really have much time to work with. Then in qualifying, went out in Q1 again, only beating the Aston Martins. Sorry, I should mention, in sprint qualifying, he got out-qualified by Russell by 3 seconds. So, yeah, he fucked up his lap. And then in normal qualifying, he got out-qualified by Russell by 4 tenths. And Russell made it through to Q3, and Kimi went out in Q1. Then in the race, he barely moved up the grid. He said he felt more comfortable, but he barely moved up the grid, and he finished in P16. He had a terrible weekend, and he made some mistakes. I am going to give him a 2.5 as well. Did he do worse than Colapinto? To be honest, why do I feel like he almost did worse than Colapinto? Like, Colapinto didn't make a mistake. And Colapinto's in a fucking... And Antonelli's in a Mercedes. Might be a hot take, but Kimi is the most overrated driver on the grid. I don't know about on the grid, but I do think he's overrated at the moment. People say this bar way too high. I don't know. Maybe there's an argument to give him a 2 because he like spun, and went off on that Ocon. We'll leave it at 2.5. We'll leave it at 2.5. No. The Mercedes was having issues, but then Russell finished P5. No, we're giving him a 2. We're giving him a 2. Very poor weekend for Kimi, and he knows that. Kimi has another 2, like Colapinto, just poor around, massively outperformed by George, even with George saying the car has moved a bit backwards in terms of performance. Frank was good at Williams and the Alpine. He's just not used to what do you mean Franco is bad. I said Franco is bad this weekend. Well, Franco is doing bad. I don't think he's a bad driver. He's just doing bad, isn't he? Being conclusive. Wait, I read that. Sup, Amini, welcome to the stream. So if you phase Twitch, welcome, guys. Might be a hot take, but Kimi, wait, I read that. What the fuck am I doing? I'm just reading the same messages now. I feel lost without my music. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more really to say about Kimi. I think he actually had a worse weekend than Colapinto, and Colapinto had a terrible weekend. So that's saying something. You know, he's in a Merc and he's going out in Q1. So anyways, majority of you guys saying 3. Fair enough. I'd say maybe that's a little bit too high personally, but you guys do you. All right, next up, Esteban Ocon. What do you rate Ocon's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in. If you're just tuning the stream, welcome on in. We're doing our driver ratings for the Belgian Grand Prix. We do this every single Monday after Grand Prix weekend. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come join us on Twitch. That is where you can vote in chat to get your driver. Oh, fuck. That's where you can vote in chat to get your driver ratings. To give your driver ratings. Okay, Esteban Ocon, let's talk about it. So Ocon in SQ1, he was best of the rest, P5, amazing result. They're the best he could have done. Outqualified his teammate by 3 tenths as well. And then in the sprint, finished in P5 and got a solid amount of points for the team. Then in qualifying, him and Behrman both made mistakes and missed out in Q3. But I still don't think where they qualified is bad, given how competitive the grid is at the moment. But they could have made Q3. Could have. And then in the race, he got fucked over by an issue and also the pit stop, which sent him down the grid. Yeah, sent him down the grid. But I think overall his performance this weekend was really, really solid. I think obviously he outperformed Behrman in the sprint qualifying and the sprint, as well as qualifying. It's just the race where I guess the timing kind of fell through. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give him same as what I did with Hedger. I think I'm gonna give him a 7. Actually, to be fair, I gave Hedger a 7.5. To be honest, he probably did better than Hedger. Yeah. Actually, qualifying wasn't as good. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7.5, same as Hedger. I think he did better than Hedger in sprint qualifying the sprint, but obviously he was worse in qualifying. But yeah, obviously what happened in the race wasn't really his fault. The timing of it all. I guess you could argue it's his fault that he pit late, but I guess you could argue it's his fault that he pit late. Like, but then again, like it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, and he had a yeah, bit of a weird setup. So I'm gonna say 7.5 in terms of performance, but I know the result wasn't great. If the T-Mac is in the stream, he would give it a 10. Yeah, true. Well, someone's giving it a 10. Was that T-Mac? I feel Ponden is gonna be mad by our vote for 7. No. I think same as Hedger. Like it wasn't his fault. What happened in the race really. Yeah. And there was a lot of decent performances this weekend. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 7. Fair enough. Okay, next up we have got. It's so weird without music. Lance Stroll. What do you rate Lance this weekend? Out of 10. Get your votes in chat. So Lance in sprint qualifying got qualified by his teammate by 4/10. They both went out in Q2 though, literally right next to each other. Then in the sprint he got past Alonso. Then in qualifying he got out qualified by Alonso by 2/10, but then finished ahead of him in the race. What did I give Alonso? What did I give Alonso? 3.5, I think. I want to give Stroll 0.5 more. I think I gave Alonso 3.5. Did I give him a 4? No, I think it was a 3.5 in the end. Wait, let me check real quick. Yeah, I gave Alonso a 3.5. So I'm going to give Stroll a 4. I think in the end, yes, Alonso outqualified Stroll in both sessions, but Stroll finished ahead in the race in both sessions, which I think means more. But then to be fair, the reason why he finished ahead of Alonso in the race was because Alonso went for a different strategy. Maybe I'll give him a 3.5 as well. Maybe I'll give him a 3.5 as well. Yeah. Was below average, but never had the car to fight with. Yeah, that's what I mean. So him and Alonso in a weird spot. It's like, it's hard to judge their performances when their car was poo. But then again, I've seen people with poo cars before do better results than that, including them. So, yeah. GMRG, thank you for the follow. JMRG, thank you for the follow on the stream. All right, majority of you guys saying 5, saying he's having an average weekend. I mean, I disagree personally, but I get it. All right. Next up, we have got Yuki Tsunoda. What do you rate Yuki Tsunoda out of 10? I feel like we're flying through these right now because there's not really too much to talk about there. Like there was barely any overtaking during the weekend and stuff like that, so there's not really much to talk about. Anyways, Yuki. Okay, here's one we can talk about. This is going to be an interesting one to rate because you can rate based off of the Red Bull second seat, or you can rate based off of performance. And again, we don't do bias, which is how I'm going to rate. So, you know, yes, it's good for Red Bull second seat standards, but it's still not amazing, is it? Anyways, in sprint qualifying, Yuki went out in P12. He got out qualified by Max, his teammate, by 6/10. He got out qualified by Liam, by Gabby, by Isaac, by Pierre, by Ollie, by Carlos, and by Esteban. So not a great sprint qualifying. Did something happen in sprint qualifying? I think it was just slow, right? And then in the sprint, he managed to only move up 1 place on the retired Gasly, and that was about it. So yeah, pretty poo sprint qualifying sprint. For Red Bull second seat standards, at least it wasn't at the back of the grid, but still not great. Then in qualifying, he put in his best qualifying result of the year. So good to see, P7. But again, still 3/10 off of Max. But that's not bad. 3/10 off of Max for Red Bull second seat standard isn't bad. But 3/10 overall against your teammate is not great. But, you know, he outqualified Hadja and Liam. But he couldn't outqualify Albon. So, yeah, I'd say an average qualifying for Yuki. Again, Red Bull second seat standards, good qualifying. Overall, average. And then In the race, he got fucked over by his team, which is a shame because I think he would have had a good result. And we will never get to see. But he still finished P13. Despite that, he finished ahead of a lot of people that he should have finished ahead of. I don't know. It's a hard one. I think with that said, I'm going to give him, I mean, yeah, bad sprint qualifying, bad sprint, average qualifying, and then race we didn't really get to see. I think if I was to rate this based off of Red Bull second seat standards, he had a good weekend. I'd give him a 7. But for normal, no bias, no context, just this is him compared to his teammate with the level of car he's got. It's probably a 3.5 or 4. Probably. Like, yeah. Disappointing in sprint qualifying, disappointing in the sprint. Good quality though. Yeah, I'll go 4. Yeah, I'll go 4. I'll go 4. It's still a below average weekend for a Red Bull. For someone in a Red Bull. Way too harsh. Like I said, if I'm rating it for the second Red Bull seat, it's higher. But way too harsh. Okay. Ignore the Red Bull second seat context, right? Driver gets out-qualified by their teammate by 10 positions, by 6/10 in sprint qualifying. Finishes 10 positions below their teammate in the sprint. Their teammate wins the sprint. And they finish P11. They are in a front-running car, and they get beaten by 1, 2, 3, 4 different teams. In qualifying, they get out-qualified by their teammate by 3/10. And then in the race, yeah, not their fault, but they drop down to the back of the grid. But based off the other 3 sessions, that doesn't sound like a driver who had a good weekend, does it? I think that is a below-average weekend, being that far off your teammate. But again, for Red Bull second seat standards, I give them a high rating, but that's not how I do ratings. I rank purely the performance. If I start rating people based off of this, that, and the other, then we'd be here all fucking day. And I've done that for years. And before people are like, oh, you wouldn't give Liam that, like I've just read in chat. I did. We did this with Liam. We did this with Checo. We're doing it with Yuki. We've got to rate solely off the performance. We can't just keep being like, well, the Red Bull car is bad. Like it just is what it is. You're gonna get bad rating because, yeah. But it's not. It is an improvement. We're used to giving the Red Bull second seat like 2s and 3s. Maybe I'll up it to a 4.5 then. But still. It was below average, but never had the car to fight either. Oh, wait, that was for the previous driver. Bad strategy cost him. Performance was decent. He didn't have the upgraded floor until qualifying. Also, the team messed up his pit stop call. Red Bull didn't give him the upgraded floor until qualifying. Yeah, true. This was one of his best races in Red Bull, so I'm assuming you haven't rated more than 4 before these races. No, I don't think I have, Killer Sam. I think Liam, Yuki, and Checo have been getting below 3s for fucking ever. He could have got points if not for the pit crew strat. Would have scored point. Yeah, true. But I still think his sprint qualifying sprint was disappointing. And qualifying, you know, you're still 3/10 off your teammate. Like, if Lando was 3/10 off his teammate, or Lewis is 3/10 off his teammate, we're criticizing them. But because it's Yuki, we're obviously thinking, oh, second Red Bull seat. But yeah, I'm gonna say 4.5. You guys did make me change my mind to up it from 4. I think Yuki deserves a 7. His sprint was not good, but once he got the new floor, he did well in qualifying. Yuki did not have the floor upgrade in the sprint qualifying, but he did have it in the normal qualifying. Even Becky said on the Sky Pad or in the media that the team messed up by communicating. Yeah, the team definitely fucked up the strategy. But we can't be like, oh, well, he would have got points. We'll never know. We have to rate based off of what we're saying. So, yeah. I still think it's below average weekend for a Red Bull. Anyways, majority of you guys giving a 6. I see what you guys are saying. We rate differently. We rate differently though. All right. Next up, we have got Nico Hulkenberg. Okay, now it's getting a bit interesting. Now it's getting interesting. What do you rate Hulkenberg out of 10? Let me know in chat. Yeah, he is always super harsh on Yuki. I was also harsh on Liam. I gave Liam's fucking 2. And we were arguing over whether I should give Liam a 1 or a 2. And you guys were going to up me for giving Liam's 2 and not a 1. And now I'm giving Yuki a 4.5 and you're mad about it. And I would give Checo 3s. So what do you want from me? Anyways. Hulk in sprint qualifying went out in SQ1. Gabby made it all the way through to SQ3. He got out qualified by his teammate by 4/10. Then in the sprint, He finished in P18 while his teammate finished in P9. Yeah. And then in qualifying, he went out in Q2 while his teammate made it through to Q3. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 4/10. His qualifying is really disappointing. And then in the race, he did manage to move up the grid, close that gap on Gabby, but he still finished 20 seconds behind his teammate. I think that's a very poor weekend for Hulk. Just like we rated Yuki, I think if you look at that and hear how far he's qualifying off his teammate, that is not great. I think Hulkenberg's had a pretty shocking weekend. Not a shocking weekend. I think he's had a pretty poor weekend in comparison to his teammates. So I'm gonna give Hulk a 4, I think. Yeah, like it wasn't a bad weekend. It was just poor in comparison to Gabby. Yeah. 4, Gabby was way stronger the whole weekend. 4. 5, 4, 6. No ifs in a rating. Exactly. Crash out percent was at 80%. Yeah, we were almost there. He was further behind his teammate than Yuki, but gets the same rating. I gave Yuki a 4.5, dude. Are you even watching the stream? And Yuki's in a Red Bull, and Hulk's in a Sauber. And keep in mind, in qualifying, Hulkenberg. Sorry, no, in the... Oh, yeah, Yuki got fucked, I guess. Paddy is a Yuki laser, yeah. But being in a Red Bull doesn't matter. You compare the teammates. Yeah, but Yuki should be further up the grid. Hulkenberg kind of... This is the thing. Hulkenberg is kind of where he should be. It's just Yuki did a lot... Gabby did a lot better. I think when you compare the midfield to the front field, like... I think the difference between the midfield and the front field is the front field should be the front field. Whereas the midfield, like, Hulkenberg hasn't done bad. He's just not done good enough. Whereas Yuki has done bad because he's not in the front field. That's, I think, the difference between the two. That's the way I look at it, at least. Yeah, I think Hulkenberg's had a pretty poor weekend in comparison to Gabby. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, I think actually 3.5 makes sense. I mean, I gave the Astons 3.5, but they were pretty close to one another. So I'll give Hulk a 3.5. Again, I don't think he's done bad though. I think it's just poor in comparison to what the potential that car had. So yeah, I'll go 3.5. Hulk had a high expectation due to Silverstone performance. That's true, but we try not to look at that. Anyways, majority of you guys saying a 4 for Hulk. All right, next up, we have got Ollie Berman. Why do I always pronounce his name dumb? I try to do a Davide Valsecchi. All right, Ollie Berman. Polls up in chat. What do you rate Ollie out of 10? Ollie had an interesting weekend as well. So in SQ1, in sprint qualifying, he made SQ3, which was really good. He did get out-qualified by his teammate by 3/10 though. So there's more potential in his lap, but still, he qualified P7. The only person he could have out-qualified other than his teammate was Sainz. So he's done a good job. And then in the sprint, he's finished P7, so he's gotten some solid points. Then in qualifying, he's got out-qualified by Ocon, making a mistake. Both of them could have made Q3. And he's been out-qualified by his teammate, so that's a bit disappointing. And then in the race, he's done better than his teammate, but his teammate obviously had issues, so it's hard to compare. And he just missed out on points. Again, he probably could have got points if he didn't fumble the bag in qualifying. So I think given sprint, I'm going to give him a 6. I think if I was just rating qualifying in the race, they should have made Q3 and he should have finished in the points. So I would have given him probably a 4.5 or a 5. But given the sprint qualifying result and the sprint, I think he deserves a higher rating. But at the same time, he did do worse than his teammate and there was more potential in him. So I'm going to say a 6. 6, but I give him a 5.5. Right, okay. If you compare Red Bull and Sauber, then Yuki should be lower than Hulk, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. Personally, I agree. 8 for Ollie. Could have done better in main quali, but otherwise, good weekend for a Haas driver. You reckon an 8 for Ollie? No engine problem. You got a point. True. It's tough. I don't know. I feel like I don't really have much more to say about a lot of these drivers. All right. Majority of you guys saying a 6 as well. We're agreeing on Ollie. All right, we move on to the top 10 now. We're going through this so quickly. I don't know why. For a sprint weekend, normally we're here for ages, but I guess it goes to show how boring the sessions were and how stock standard the weekend was. Anyways, next driver in first into the top 10 for the race, Pierre Gasly. What do you rate Gasly out of 10? Now, if you just tuned in the stream, guys, we're doing driver ratings. We do this every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend. Over on Twitch, if you're over on YouTube, come join us on Twitch. But in Twitch chat, you can type in chat the number you want to vote for them on the poll. That's what you need to do. So what do you rate Gasly out of 10? So Gasly in sprint qualifying made SQ3. He out-qualified Colapinto by 0.4. And yeah, he only got out-qualified by Behrman, Sainz, and Ocon. Now, could he be out-qualified those guys? Potentially, but I didn't even think the Alpine was capable of making SQ3, so I think he's done a really good job there. And then in the sprint, unfortunately, had an issue, so he wasn't able to start the sprint. So, you know, we're not going to deduct points for that because it's not his fault at all. And then in qualifying, unfortunately, he missed out on Q3. But again, I don't really expect him to be making Q3 anyway. I think that was more of a... I think where he qualified was where I expected him to qualify in the Alpine. He didn't make a mistake on his lap, right, from what I remember. So I think he's done a good job. And he's out-qualified his teammate by 0.2. And then in the race, he's managed to move himself up the grid to finish in the points. So who did he move himself ahead of? Both Haas's and Yuki, who dropped outside the top 10. And get points. So yeah, I think overall, Gasly's performance was really good this weekend. I think I'm going to give him 8. I think room for improvement. Just qualifying. Could have probably maybe qualified better after sprint qualifying. Maybe even 8 point. Yeah, actually maybe an 8.5 to be honest. I think the only place he fucked up was like, okay, let's knock 0.5 off for sprint qualifying the sprint because maybe he could have out-qualified the Haas's and the Williams, but I think that's more like a could have. And then we knock 1 off for the qualifying. I think he's done really good. So yeah, 8.5 for Gasly. I think he's actually had a good result in the end. Colapinto makes Pierre look like Max. I would love to see a good drive in the Alpine to see, is Gasly actually locked in again like he was at AlphaTauri, or is it just Colapinto doing bad? I'd love to know. Yeah, that Alpine should have been where Aston Martin was because of their power deficit. Gasly easy 8 to 8.5 for me to bring into SQ3 to be on the sharper end of Q2. I'm loving the messages in the chat, Doha. Guys, once you vote, let me know why you voted for that. You know, then we can discuss it. Anyways, majority of you guys given Gasly a 7. I think that's too low personally, but not a bad rating. Not a bad rating. All right, next up, one of the big boys for the weekend, Gabriel Bortoleto. What do you rate his weekend out of 10? He did amazing. So, Bortoleto in sprint qualifying, qualified P10, made it through to SQ3. He out-qualified his teammate by 0.4. He did get out-qualified by Hadja, Gasly, Behrman, Sainz, and Ocon. But again, I think with the Sauber, it's like, let's try and make Q3. And it's possible to make Q3 if you do a really good job. And he did exactly that. Maybe he could have done better in SQ3, but at the end of the day, he's out-qualified Liam. He's out-qualified Yuki. He's out-qualified Russell. And yeah, his teammate by 0.4. Then in the sprint, he managed to move up 1 position, obviously because Gasly retired. And yeah, I don't think there was much room for him to really get points in the sprint. So yeah, I'd give him a 9.5 for sprint qualifying and the sprint. And then in qualifying, he made Q3, out-qualifying the Haas's again. Out-qualifying the Haas's this time, and Pierre Gasly, and his teammate by 0.4. And then in the race, he managed to hold on to his position and finish in P9. But most importantly, he finished only 4 seconds behind Liam, and finished 15 seconds ahead of Gasly in P10. So I think he's had an awesome weekend performance-wise. So I'm going to give Gabby a 9.5. I think the only reason I'm knocking 0.5 off is because, as we saw with Hulkenberg and Silverstone, that car's not as bad as we think anymore. And I think in sprint qualifying, he could have out-qualified the Racing Bull. Could have out-qualified Hadja, Gasly, Behrman, Sainz, Ocon. Potentially. There was potential to maybe do that. and get a point in the sprint. So I'm going to knock 0.5 off for that. Maybe I could even argue he could be a 9, but yeah, I think he was consistently beating his teammate as well. So yeah, awesome weekend from Bortoletto. 10 because he's my Pookie. Knight of Hilmy, welcome to the stream, dude. 10 because he has been in the top 10 the whole weekend. 9.5 to 10 for not being a wet race. Gabby got that car to its absolute max. Yeah, I agree. All right, majority of us agreeing on 9. I like it. All right, next up. Oh, I can't wait to see Paddy's rating for this. Next up, Liam Lawson. What do you rate Liam out of 10? Get your votes in. So Liam, in sprint qualifying, he qualified P11. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 1/10. Again, like I said before, it's really nice to see the VCAR boys being so close. I guess you could make an argument Liam should be doing better than Hadja because he's got more experience. But it's nice to see two, they are technically rookies, matching each other and pushing each other, because I think that helps a lot with your teammate. Like, if you're doing, take Gasly and Colapinto, for instance. If you're Gasly and your teammate's shit, you're not going to try as much to beat them. But I feel like these two are like pushing each other to do better, which is really nice to see now. Anyways, Liam went out in P11. Now, he should have made SQ3. You know, he should have beaten Bortoletto. He could have beaten his teammate. He should have beaten Gasly. He should have beaten the Haas. He should have beaten Williams. But then again, Hadja didn't beat Alpine, Haas's, or Sainz. So, you know, at the end of the day, he should have made SQ3. But it's not bad. He out-qualified Yuki, he out-qualified Russell. He still did his job and qualified near his teammate, but it should have been SQ3. Then in the sprint, he finished behind Bortoletto and just behind his teammate. I mean, obviously, there's not enough time in the sprint to be able to get stuff done. So yeah, I'd give him like a solid 6 to 7 for sprint qualifying the sprint. Could have been better, but I think he's done what he should have done, but nothing more. And then in qualifying, he got out-qualified by his teammate by literal milliseconds. But he made it through to Q3. Both the VCAR boys making Q3, and they out-qualified Bortoletto. He out-qualified Bortoletto this time. The only person he should have beaten was Albon, but Albon was so far up the grid. Again, I don't think it's bad that the VCARs qualified P8, P9. It's more just like, was there potential to beat Yuki, beat Russell, beat Albon? Maybe. Especially when it was so tight. And then in the race, he got past Hadja, and Hadja then had that issue, which is a real shame for Hadja. I would have really loved to have compared race pace, specifically in the wet conditions, between Liam and Hadja. But anyways, Hadja had that issue, which sucks. And Liam went on to get P8. He held off Gabby, and yeah, just finished in P8, got some solid points for the team. Considering how far Albon finished up the grid, maybe there's an argument Liam's race pace could have been better. But at the end of the day, you got a solid result. So I'm going to give, what did I give Hadja? I gave Hadja a 7.5. I feel like I've got to give Liam the same rating, because I think Hadja did better in sprint qualifying, better in the sprint, and better in qualifying. But Liam was able to bring home the car for points. And obviously, again, it's tough because Hadja... It's tough because... And this is why I rated Hadja higher before. And you guys were confused why. Is because, I mean, Hadja did better in 3 out of 4 sessions. The one session he didn't do better... Well, it's not Hadja's fault. So, yeah. I mean, there's an argument Liam should be rated lower than Hadja because of that. But I guess at the end of the day, Liam did... had the opportunity to get points, and he delivered, and got P8. So I'm gonna say 7.5. No, Liam did better. Liam actually did it. His results are counting down next weekend. Liam Lawson podium confirmed. I agree. Best weekend of his career. Liam's best weekend of his career, you reckon? No. Singapore 2023 still his best weekend, surely. 10 because he's been in the top. Wait, I read that. Or were you talking about Gabby still? Liam was better on Sunday, and Sunday is when it matters. Was he better on Sunday, though, or was it just because Hadja had problems with his car? Yeah. I don't know. Part of me feels like 7.5 is too low for a driver that got points. But then again, I am also looking at sprint qualifying in the sprint, where he could have done better. Maybe, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I think Hadja had a better weekend, performance-wise, than Liam. But he wasn't able to show himself in the session that mattered, and Liam did. So I'm going to give Liam an 8. I think that's only fair. So again, it's weird. It's weird because it's like, these are performance ratings, and I'm giving Liam, who I think did worse than Hadja, a higher rating. But Liam just had the opportunity to show himself in the race, and Hadja didn't. So Yeah, okay, maybe not his career, but his best result in the stint at VCAP. Yeah, I agree. Well, no, Austria would have been better, right? Problems, it's typical nonsense. Slowson slowing down the field is goaded. Yeah, I'm gonna go 8 for Liam. To be honest, actually, I'm like it should be higher. Maybe I was just scared to glaze Liam. But nah, sprint qualifying and sprint could have been better. And qualifying could have been better. Oh, I don't know. Fuck it, we're going 8.5 for the glaze. We're going 8.5 for the glaze. I feel like, again, it feels weird giving him a higher rating than Hadja, because Hadja did better in 3 out of the 4 sessions, but it's just solely because Hadja didn't get to prove himself. All right, majority of you guys saying 8, so we agree on that. Next up, okay, big one. Probably maybe you guys will agree with me, but this might end up being the most controversial one. Not Liam. Lewis Hamilton. What do you rate Lewis out of 10? If you watch on Twitch right now, type in chat what you rate out of 10. Lewis is a weird one, right? Because in sprint qualifying, he went out in SQ1. He got out qualified by his teammate by 7/10. His teammate qualified P4. He qualified 18th, 14 positions lower. You know, he almost got out qualified by Franco Colapinto. He got out qualified by Hulkenberg, Albon, Stroll, Alonso. So many people. He should not be going out in SQ1. Then in the sprint, he did manage to move up some positions, which is nice to see. But, I mean, he shouldn't be qualifying that low because that fucks up his sprint. Then in qualifying, same thing. Out in Q1. Getting out qualified by his teammate by 3/10. Obviously, Lewis did have his lap time deleted. It looked like Lewis maybe had the pace in quali, but again, making that mistake, pushing too hard, going wide. So yeah, at this point in the weekend, it's a shocker. It is genuinely a shocker. It is like it is genuinely like a 3 out of 10. Shit sprint qualifying. Because of that, the sprint meant nothing. And then in qualifying, shit as well. So he'd be getting a 3 out of 10 at this point. However, he starts from the pit lane, or starts at the back of the grid, moves his way up the field beautifully, I must say, and finishes P7. Great. He's redeemed himself. Has he, though? Has he? He's finished P7. He's finished 20 seconds behind his teammate. He's been beaten by Albon, by Russell, and by Max, who are all people shall be, and thrown away points in the race. At the end of the day, even if I was rating the result still isn't great. He's finished 3 positions below his teammate when his teammates finished on the podium. But at least he's recovered, right? I think a lot of people are getting too caught up in like, yeah, but he had a good race though, and like he recovered well. He recovered decently well. Like he recovered where he should, given the circumstance of that race. Like it's really hard to overtake that race, 100%. But he shouldn't be qualifying that low. And in terms of result, he's, you know, finishing P7, 4 positions below your teammate is not great. With that said, I'm going to give Lewis a 5. I think the way I've come to the conclusion with this rating is terrible sprint qualifying, terrible sprint, terrible qualifying. He's at a 3 out of 10 right now. At least he's not made... Well, to be fair, he did make a mistake locking up. He's had a terrible weekend so far. His result in the race is like a 6 out of 10. Finishing 4 positions below your teammate, 20 seconds down. That's not great, but it's not bad. I'd give it like a, 5.5, 6 out of 10. But the way he went about coming to back to P7... the amazing overtakes, looking locked in, his performance, you know, that bumps it up a bit. So that's where I'm going to give him a 5, I think. I think that's where I'm going to give him a 5. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I think there's going to be a big spread on this one. It's hard to rate, you know what I mean? It's really, really hard to rate because 3 out of 4 sessions, he was poo. The race, he was really good, but you shouldn't be finishing 7th in a Ferrari when your teammate's on the podium. It's just really hard, man. It's really hard. Race is impressive. Weekend before that, a disaster. He didn't have to start the race on pit lane and change his wing for circumstances. Did good working through the field, but got stuck behind Albon. That as well, you know, he did finish behind Albon. He got stuck behind a Williams. Ben, welcome to the stream, dude. Same with you, Gathema. I give extra 2 points for the race, so altogether 5. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Mark. I think we're on the same wavelength there. Out in Q3 twice, did nothing in the sprint, and the race was good, but Ferrari tax. He got out-qualified by his teammate with a big margin, spun qualified shit again, started in pit lane, changed setup, which helped him massively. That's actually a good point. For anyone who thinks, why aren't you rating him high? That's a really good point. The only reason he had a good race was because he was on the perfect setup for the conditions because he started from the pit lane. So he wouldn't have had a good race relative to everyone else if everyone was on the same setup. So that's a good way to look at it. FN scripted, one of the stream did. He would have finished P5 if qualifying was good. Well, he should have finished P5. He should have finished P4. If Leclerc's finishing... No. This is the way you got to look at it, right? If Leclerc's finishing P3, he should be finishing P3. At the very least, P4. So P5, I mean, yeah. For Lewis's current form, P5 would have been the result he should have got. Wait, my headset just died, I think. Him in sprint going only from P18 to P15 showed without setup change he would have done what he did. 4 terrible. Quali, the only saving grace was the race, but he still finished behind Albon even when they made the perfect pit call. That's another thing. Perfect pit call, yeah. Driver of the day, plus 11 overtakes. Doesn't that reflect the magic of a driver? He's excellent in those conditions. Also had to lift and coast for half the race for fuel. Did he? Can't rate any higher than such a poor start to the weekend. Race was really good in a Ferrari. And the proof of that would be him only moving up 3 positions before setup change in the sprint time from the back. Yeah, it's tough. Part of me is like, I want to rate him lower than this because, like, 3 sessions were poo, and he still didn't get the result he should have. But I think I say what Mark said. I think he's getting the bump because of how good his race was, but yeah, I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna keep it at 5 to avoid getting hate. No, I'm joking. Lewis Goat 7, good time to follow. Thank you for the follow. And Knight of Hilmy, thank you for the follow as well. All right, majority of you guys saying 6. I think that's a bit too high personally, but I get your, you know, everyone rates differently. So I can see why with someone like Lewis, with that kind of race, why it's kind of like polarizing. Giving him legend tax. All right, moving on. Next driver, we've got Alex Albon. What do you rate his weekend out of 10? Type it in chat. This guy's yapping. You wouldn't believe it, the Spanish Batman. You wouldn't believe it. But my job as a streamer is to talk. And that is what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. Anyways, Carlos Sainz. Not Carlos Sainz, sorry. Alex Albon. Now, Albon in SQ1 went out, Alex Albon in sprint qualifying went out in SQ1. He got out qualified by his teammate by 5 tenths. And then in the sprint, didn't move up any positions. So disappointing sprint qualifying, disappointing sprint. However, in qualifying, he absolutely smashed it. Best of the rest, out qualified George Russell and Yuki. Out qualified his teammate in Q2 by 2 tenths. And yeah, it was best of the rest in qualifying. And then in the race, got overtaken by Russell, which is expected. Russell's in a Merc. And yeah, managed to hold off Lewis Hamilton for a P6 result. I think if I was just looking at qualifying and the race, I'm genuinely giving him a 10. You know, he did the max he could in qualifying, and he did the... I guess you could maybe say maybe there's an argument he could have held off Russell in those conditions. So we'll say 9.5. So 9.5 for qualifying the race. How much are we deducting down for sprint qualifying and sprint? You know, at the end of the day, his teammate got points in the sprint, so he did have a pretty poor sprint qualifying sprint. I'm thinking maybe an 8. I'm thinking maybe an 8. Oh, okay, you guys are saying 8 as well. I thought some of you would go crazy. Okay. On the positive, he was only one able to overtake. He had a great race, but a shit sprint. What? No, wait, what would you rate him, Glopper? Poor sprint, but good quality in race. Unfortunately, a shit sprint and quality. 9 for the race alone, but -1 for the sprint. Yeah, I'm thinking 8. That's fair. It seems low for a driver who had literally a almost perfect sprint, perfect qualifying race, but we're rating the weekend as a whole, and I think, you know, he did have a pretty poor sprint quality and sprint, so we'll go 8 for him. All right, majority of you guys saying 8 for Albon as well. All right, next up. We move on to the top 5 now. Next up, we've got George Russell. As we move on to the top 5, guys, welcome to the stream. If you're new here, we're doing driver ratings. Every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we hop on the stream. We rate the drivers out of 10. If you want to vote on the poll, all you have to do is come into Twitch chat and type the number you want to vote for, and it will go onto the poll. It is as easy as that. All right, G-Rust, what do we give him out of 10? So in sprint qualifying, he qualified P13. He had a bit of a shocker. He did out-qualify his teammate, though, by 7 positions. But yeah, you got out-qualified by Yuki, by Liam, Bortoletto, Hadja, Gasly, Behrman, Sainz, Ocon. Pretty bad. And then in the sprint, he didn't move up any positions. So pretty bad. However, in qualifying, he qualified P6. Again, out-qualified by Albon, which isn't great. 0.3 off of Max, but he did smash his teammate. He out-qualified Antonelli by 0.4. Then, in the race, he finished in P5. He got past Albon, hung on for a P5. I think overall, given the car that Russell was in, it was decent weekend, but I don't think overall he's done that great, if I'm being honest. Sprint qualifying was shocking. Sprint was shocking. Shouldn't have got out-qualified by Albon, but and Yuki was close to out-qualifying him as well. Given Yuki's current form, I don't think that should be happening. But I think at the end of the day, he's done his job. So 6? Is that harsh? I don't know. Like, he's done his job at the end of the day. I think giving him a 7 for how poo he was in sprint qualifying and sprint. But then again, maybe 6.5. Like, qualifying, I would give him... Qualifying P6, given that Mercedes, I'd probably give him a 7.5. And then his race result, I'd give him like, yeah, probably like 7.5. So then I'm demoting 1 for the sprint qualifying the sprint. I don't know. It's pretty similar to Albon. No, but Albon did way better. Albon outperformed the car. I think Russell drove the car where it should be. I think that's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know. I'm saying 6.5 for now, but I might change my mind after I read your guys' messages. Luca the Pro Game. Welcome to the stream, dude. 7, bad sprint. Not sure he could have done anything more in the race. Maximize the result in the race, but again, -1 for the poor sprint. It was terrible this race. I can't really compare with the Red Bull Ferrari. Yeah, fair. You gave Hedger a 7.5 and you want to rate George a 6, Lamau? Yeah, because... wait, what do you mean? Hedger out-qualified Russell in the sprint qualifying. Hedger finished ahead of Russell in the sprint. Hedger almost out-qualified Russell in a much worse car. Well, still, they both had... Well, I'd say Hadja had a better qualifying than Russell did. Because Russell got out-qualified by Albon. Hadja didn't get out-qualified by anyone he probably shouldn't have. I guess you could maybe argue Albon as well, but that's more like he could have, whereas Russell's yeah. Hadja could have out-qualified Albon, but he doesn't need to. Russell should be out-qualifying Albon. And yeah, Hadja didn't get to show himself in the race. I think it's all relative at the end of the day. I get your point. Only reason it's a 7 is because the Merc looks shocking in Kimi's hand and he did his job regardless. Yeah, true. Actually, I agree with you. I think he's done his job. But you have to knock it down a little bit for the sprint qualifying the sprint. Also, the setup of the Merc didn't look like it was optimal whatsoever. Setting 2 purple sectors and losing a second in the middle one is crazy. Yeah, true. All right, you changed my mind. I've upped it to a 7. You can tell you hate Lewis so much. Yeah, bro. I should rate this guy's logic. I should give Lewis Hamilton, who had 3 worse sessions than Russell and finished behind Russell in the race. Apparently, I should give him a higher rating than Russell. That makes so much sense. Great work on using your brain. Decided to bite the bullet and download the Twitch app, so no more YouTube time with me. Let's go. Welcome to the stream, dude. Be sure to follow. Turn notifications on. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in, Doha. You can tell Ponden loves Lawson and Max and hates Lewis and Lando. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. People, this is the thing, right? People think I hate Lando and Lewis because I criticize them. So when I do ratings, it's like, you just hate them. And it's just like, you're already saying that because you have no reason to rate the driver the rating you give them. You're just using your thought of me hating them as a reason as to why you don't like my rating, rather than actually debating with me why they should be higher or lower. And also, we're on Russell. We talked about Lewis literally 2 drivers ago, and it's just like what? Anyways, weirdos. All right, majority of you guys saying 7. So we agree on Russell for that one. All right, next up, Max Verstappen. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to rate Max yet. What do you guys rate Max out of 10? Get your votes in. So, Max, in sprint qualifying, qualified P2. He outqualified Lando by 2/10. And got outqualified by Piastri by 4/10. But I think that's more props to Piastri than bad from Verstappen. And he outqualified Yuki by 6/10. So he did really, really well in sprint qualifying. And then did even better in the sprint. Got past Piastri straight away. And yeah. Maximize the result in the sprint. So if I had to rate for sprint qualifying the sprint, I'm honestly giving Max a 10. I can't give Max a 9.5 because he didn't outqualify Piastri. I think that was expected for McLaren. So he's had a perfect sprint in my opinion, given his car. And then in qualifying, he's qualified P4. Now he's made a mistake on his final run, which has cost him P3 on Charles. And then in the race, that's cost him finishing ahead of Charles. So he's not maximized his weekend. I think, looking at how that Red Bull performs, similar to what we're talking about with Mercedes, given how that Red Bull performs, I think he should have outqualified. He shouldn't be where he is. But at the end of the day, he could have and should have outqualified Leclerc and should have beaten Leclerc in the race. So, I don't know. Do I give him a 9 or do I give him 8.5? It's between that. 9. Okay, if I'm giving a 10 for the sprint, I knock off 0.5 for quali and 0.5 for the race. That makes sense to give him a 9. But then again, like he could have been on the podium, but should have he been? I'll leave it at 9 for now, but let me know what you guys think. I'm expecting George to win if they started the race in the rain. George to win. BGDNN, welcome to the stream, dude. Screwed up qualifying, which hurt him a lot in the race. Could have had a sniff at the McLarens. 9.5 because he should have beat Charles in the main quali and arguably in the race. Only taking 9.5 off. 7 because he cost the podium with a mistake in quali. He got screwed by having what should have been the correct car setup if it wasn't for the FIA delaying that race. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I think given the setup he had, he did a pretty good job. I don't know. I'm torn between 9 or 8.5. 8.5 is me going, this is what he could have done. 9 is, hey, Max is outperforming this car right now. And just because he didn't perfectly maximize the car this weekend, does he deserve to be knocked down a little bit? I don't know. 8.5 is fair. Only thing he could have improved on is quality, and that would have given him the podium. There was no way he could have overtaken the race. Yeah. 8.5 is fair. He had a perfect sprint weekend, but he screwed up quality, which cost him. If he raced earlier, his setup would have made sense. On the other side, why did Red Bull went for the rain setup? 9 for me. 10 if he beats Leclerc. Bottled quality, had a chance to overtake Leclerc when he locked up turn 1, but lifted because he was scared. Yeah. Oh, it's tough. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like if any other driver was in this position, it'd be a 9. 9, I think, for Max 8.5. I think 8.5 would be a good balance. I'm really torn. Because he got a, you know, he maximized sprint qualifying and he maximized the sprint. That's a 10. Qualifying was still good, but the mistake cost him that position on Charles, which cost him a podium. I'll go 8.5. We'll go 8.5. 8.75. But I'm really torn. Majority of you guys saying 9, though. Okay, maybe I should have given him 9 then. Lol. He's only been rated that low because he's Max. Any other driver, and it's an easy 9 for being, like, barely off of Charles in quali. Yeah. But he still made a mistake. Fuck it. We're going 9. We're going 9. We're 0.5 for delays tax. All right. Nah, generally though, I'm torn. All right, next up, Charles Leclerc. What do you rate him out of 10? Get your votes in. Charles, P4 in sprint qualifying. Only 1/10 behind Lando. He outqualified his teammate by 7/10 in sprint qualifying. And then in the sprint, he was pretty slow in the sprint, to be honest, but still held on to P4. And then in qualifying, maximized his qualifying, outqualified Max, capitalizing on the mistake Max made, and in turn, managed to finish ahead of Max in the race, which probably shouldn't have happened. He also outqualified Lewis by 3/10 in qualifying, and finished 4 positions ahead of Lewis, by 20 seconds. Obviously, Lewis had a great race, but, you know, Lewis should have finished closer to Leclerc. To be honest, when I look at Leclerc's entire weekend, I think it's a 10. If I'm being honest, I think it's a 10. Like, he maximized sprint qualifying. He maximized the sprint. He could have been quicker in the sprint, but he still got the result he should have. He maximized qualifying, and he maximized the race. Like, yeah, you could sit here and be like, well, maybe if he did a little bit better in sprint qualifying, he could have finished ahead of Lando. I mean, he actually, to be fair, he got past, I forgot, he got past Lando in the sprint as well. I think it's a 10. He didn't do anything wrong, and he completely demolished Lewis this weekend. So, yeah, I think it's a 10 for Charles. I can't see a reason to knock 0.5 off, unless I'm missing something. Claire 10, that was the maximum of the car. Maximized sprint based on Max's skinny wing and McLaren's inherent strength to dry and beat Max in the main race. Easy 10. Great weekend, especially given his recent mixed weather. Yeah, true. True. It's the first time I've seen him good in mixed weather. Keeping Max behind him on inters was enough for a 10. Yeah, fair. Yeah, I think it's a 10 for the... Actually, let me run this poll again. But let's change it to 9. Oh, fuck. What am I doing? Let's change the poll to 9, 9.5, 10. All right. Type in chat what you'd give him. So we can, so there's a bit more. We can see the difference. I missed it, but what did we rate Albon? Oh, I can't remember now. What did we give Albon? 8? I think it was an 8. Okay, majority of you guys saying 10. All right, there's a bit of switch up. There's way more 9s before that. What the fuck? Okay. Next up. Ooh. Controversial one. Controversial one. Next up, we've got Lando Norris. Type in Twitch chat what you rate Lando Norris out of 10 to get your vote in on the poll. Ooh. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, sprint qualifying. Lando Norris got out-qualified by his teammate by 6/10. He got qualified by his teammate by 6/10. He got out-qualified by Max Verstappen, which I don't think should be happening. And he almost got out-qualified by Charles. He made a mistake on his lap. He was just off the pace, to be honest. Then in the sprint, obviously Piastri made a mistake, which we'll talk about, which cost him the sprint win. And Lando made the same mistake, and Charles got past, but at least he got it back. But yeah, at the end of the day, he qualified poor in the sprint qualifying, which meant he finished in 3rd instead of 2nd or even 1st. Qualifying, he completely turned it around and got pole. However, you've got to keep in mind, he made a mistake on his qualifying lap. He's just lucky Oscar also made a mistake on his qualifying lap. But at least he turned around the pace and showed that he was capable of getting pole. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, it was such an amazing pole, 10 for qualifying. Like, no, he literally made a mistake on his lap. He's just lucky Piastri made a mistake as well. And then in the race, he lost the lead right off the start. I did like Lando and his team taking the risk on the hard tire. I like that, and I think he could have won. But at the end of the day, he made 3 mistakes during the race, along with the team also making the pit stop mistake, which meant we'll never know if he actually could have potentially raced and passed Piastri. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, these guys are in the fastest car. In 2023 and 2024, when we were rating Max in the fastest car, we were very nitpicky. They are in the best car. They're in a championship. In this case, they're in the championship fight. They need to be perfect. And I don't think Lando was perfect this weekend. You know, he got out-qualified by Max, and he got out-qualified by his teammate by 6/10 in sprint qualifying. He finished in 3rd when he probably should have been finishing 2nd or 1st in the sprint. Qualifying, yes, he got pole. But the only reason he got pole was because his teammate made a mistake as well as him. And then in the race, he made a mistake. 4 mistakes. He lost the lead, and then he made 3 more mistakes. At the end of the day, I can't give it more than a 7, if I'm being honest. He had a good weekend, but that's it. You know what I mean? He got a good weekend, and that's it. You know, 10 to get a 10 would be sprint qualifying pole, win the sprint, qualify pole, win the race. 9 would have been winning the race and out qualifying Max in sprint qualifying the sprint. 8 would have been getting pole without a mistake, winning the race, and then having the sprint that he did. But he had a very, very, very poor sprint qualifying, which led to a poor sprint. And then qualifying wasn't that great because he made a mistake. And then he lost the lead to his teammate. In the context, I think he's lost 7 points on his championship rival. His only rival is Oscar. And he lost to him. Yeah, I'm very harsh on Lando. I'm very harsh on anyone who's in a top car. But yeah, don't get mad at me because I'm saying the truth about Lando's performances. 4 mistakes in the race. 1 to lose the lead and then 3 more chasing him down. Anyways, what have you guys got to say? I wanted to avoid reading chat until I said everything I wanted. Hayla Rosebud, welcome to the stream. Race for the mistakes for me, 5. 3rd in the sprint with a rocket ship. With this car, only in quality he did what he had to do. But even then, he made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, again, yes, he got pole. But he only got pole. He made a mistake. So the only reason he got pole was because no one else can fight. Yeah, this is the thing people forget about qualifying. They're gassing up Lando Norris's pole, forgetting that he made a mistake on his final lap. But so did his teammate. And if there was anyone, Charles, Max, Russell, anyone had a capable car, they would have got pole. Well, to be fair, Max also made a mistake on his lap. So if Leclerc had a capable car, Russell had a capable car, Albon had a capable car with the laps they did, they would have got pole. They didn't make mistakes. Easy 8 got dunked on in sprint qualifying, did well enough in the race, but could have won or at least challenged Oscar properly if it wasn't for those mistakes on the hard stint. With this car only in quali, he did away with that. Sup Akshara on the stream, 7.65. Why do you hate Lando? I don't hate Lando, man. I don't hate Lando. I'm critical of Lando, but it doesn't mean I hate him. Too many mistakes in race on better strat. He should have challenged Oscar. At the end of the day, Lando's only rival is Piastri. But for some reason, his rival in sprint qualifying and the sprint was Max Verstappen as well. And he lost to his only other rival in the race. So I don't see how that can be better than a 7. 5, too many mistakes in the race. Bit too many small mistakes and got beaten by his teammate in both sprint and the race. How often does the pole sitter even keep first place at Spa? But he didn't lose it because of... The thing is... that people keep getting to, in my opinion, people keep getting too caught up in, oh, Lando was never going to keep the lead at Spa because that's the way Spa is. You could take that exact same scenario that happened to Lando and put it at Monza, put it at Mexico, put it at Brazil. He made a mistake on the exit of turn 1. He was always going to get overtaken, in my opinion, when you make a mistake like that. Norris, and he made a mistake out of bus stop on the fucking restart. Norris couldn't catch his teammate that was on meds that were 1 lap older than his hards. A man in 2019 said a good sentence, and I quote, consistency is key. Exactly. Both McLarens made a mistake in race quali, but Norris still had a 0.6 gap in sprint quali to his teammate. You mean Piastri had a 0.6 gap. As long as you are happy, put it on Oscar's Saturday also. You make too many dumb mistakes. K-Mag Chaos, Halla, and BGDNN. Thank you guys for the follows. We're on the stream. What's YouTube chat saying? Mango, thank you for the $2 super chat. Thank you, dude. You think it's a 7.5? Really do appreciate that, Mango. Thank you, man. Piastri was quicker this weekend. 6.5. The mistake was very small. 5. Damn. It's very polar. Well, actually, on Twitch, everyone's saying 7 or 8. On YouTube, I'm seeing a lot of 5s and 6s. Interesting. All right. We're going to end it there. Enough talk about Lando. Majority of you guys saying 8. I personally think that's too high for a driver who lost to his teammate in 3 out of the 4 sessions and made 6 mistakes over the course of the weekend in the fastest car on the grid. I just don't think that's worthy of an 8, in my opinion. Anyways, final driver, last but not least, Oscar Piastri. Another interesting one, I think. What do you rate Oscar out of 10? What do you rate Oscars weekend out of 10 performance-wise? Type in chat. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come join us on Twitch. Type in chat what you want to vote for. Okay, Oscar Piastri. Let's talk about it. So, in sprint qualifying, amazing. 11 out of 10 if I could. Absolutely dominated his teammate by 6/10 and dominated second place Max by 4/10. Amazing. Amazing lap. However, in the sprint, he lost the lead off the start. You know, you could argue that it's the track. It was always bound to happen, blah, blah. But, you know, I think he could have done a better job of holding off or then trying to get past Max. But I think, you know, we said it a lot in Silverstone last week. When people would be like, yeah, but the strategy was bad. But the drivers are responsible for the strategy. And I feel the same way about the setup. I feel like it's 50% McLaren's fault, 50% Piastri's fault that they, and Lando's fault, that they had the setup that they had on the car for the sprint. Like, in what world did you think you were going to hold off Max Verstappen with low rear wing like that? So, yeah. Finished P2. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like, you probably shouldn't be letting a Red Bull win when you're that quick. And they showed how fucking quick they were in the race on Sunday. Then, in qualifying, not only did he make a mistake, but he was looking slower than Lando as well. So he got out-qualified by Lando by 1/10. Again, that margin would have been bigger if Lando didn't fuck up his lap, but they both fucked up their laps. And yeah, Piastri ends up getting out-qualified by Lando. At least he out-qualified Charles and Max, though. And then in the race, he did exactly what he needed to. Got past Lando straight away, managed the tires perfectly. So yeah, if I'm looking at Oscar's race, I give his race 9.5 out of 10. If I look at qualifying, I give him a... I mean, it's dumb, right? Like, how someone makes a mistake on their qualifying lap and gets beaten by their teammate. Is that worthy of a 7 out of 10? Like, this is what I hate about the fastest cars on the grid. Is they're in a position where they can make a mistake on their qualifying lap and still get P2. I'd say 6.5 out of 10 for quali, if I'm being honest. Sprint. Eight out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. And then sprint qualifying 10 out of 10. So I don't know what that balances out to, but it's hard, man. It's so hard. We got 4 sessions to look at. I'm gonna say an 8.5, I think. I think I'm gonna take 0.5 off for sprint. And then taking 1 off for qualifying. Yeah. I think I'm gonna get 8.5. I think, you know, some people might look at this and be like, well, he won the race. But he won the race more because Lando was poo than... made mistakes more than Piastri doing good necessarily. That sounds like I'm taking away from Piastri's win, but I'm not. And yeah, I mean, he didn't do great in quali, and then he lost the lead in the sprint. Yeah, I don't know. I think 8.5 is fair, but it's gonna be another polarizing one. All right, what do you guys got to say though? Maybe you'll change my mind. Strategy is mostly the team. 9.5, knocking off half a point for missing sprint pole to Lando. Sprint pole? You mean normal pole? He was never going to hold on to the lead in the sprint with Max's insane setup. But again, I do feel like that comes down to him a little bit. Like, why did he choose to rock that setup? Dry sprint and low points. He could have never let Max past him. 9. Got pole by a lot on the sprint. Overtook quickly on the race and kept positions without mistakes until the end. He made less mistakes. Debatable if he could have won the sprint, but Red Bull down the straight was a rocket ship. Should have been pole, but made a mistake. His only proper mistake was qualifying. Sprint start can be labeled as a mistake. People say that this trick that Max did on Oscar is pretty often used in sim. He could have seen it and tried to defend. I feel like he did not want to fight Max and possibly ruin his car before quali. I don't know about that. 8.5 Max if you give Lando a 7. Anything under 9 is crazy. 9.5 in my opinion. A bit harsh to rate him that low for sprint with Max's setup. You're way too harsh. Nah, it's a 9. Max was running low downforce in the sprint. In no world could Piastri could have overtaken him back. I guess my logic is like, Max had the perfect sprint. Max had did the best he could in sprint qualifying. Had the perfect sprint. But then he had a poor a poor qualifying, or one bad position in qualifying. So we knocked him down to an 8.5. With Piastri, I'm kind of like, well, he didn't win the sprint and he had a poor qualifying, but he redeemed himself in the race. I don't know. I still feel like it's an 8.5, I'm being honest. He made a mistake in his quality lap, but was still only 0.085. It's so marginal to call it a mistake. Did you downgrade Max for the setup decision in Silverstone significantly? This was a major one. Yeah, true. Let's just not race because he can damage the car. What is that argument? If you're critiquing Piastri for saying he should have picked a different setup, then you should have reduced Max's rating for the same rating. Yeah, true. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I am looking at the sprint a little bit too harshly. I guess the thing is, right, and this is what makes ratings so hard, is like, I think the reason why I initially gave Piastri an 8.5 is because in my mind, Piastri didn't win the Grand Prix. Lando lost it. So in my mind, I'm like, does Piastri deserve to be rated higher than Max when the only reason he won the Grand Prix is because Lando lost it? You know what I mean? Like, if I was just rating Lando and Piastri, I'd give Piastri a 9. But when I rate the entire field, I'm like, 8.5 makes more sense because Lando was the one that lost it. I don't know. Yeah. We'll go 9. We'll go 9. You guys convinced me. If Lando got a 9 in Silverstone, then Oscar should get a 9.75 in Spa. I think I gave Lando a 10. Can't remember now. I think I gave Lando a 10. And yeah, I think I gave Lando a 10. Why wouldn't he get a 10? That record pole ahead of Norris in sprint overtook Norris at the start and never looked back. If Lando gets a 9 in Silverstone for getting the win, then Oscar receiving a penalty, then Oscar for not making a mistake. The actual rate should be at least a 9. Yeah, true. I don't know. I'm confusing myself now. Nightshade, name of the follow. All right, guys, we're gonna end it there. I think overall that was a pretty. Overall with Oscar, I think it's a. I think with it being a sprint weekend, it makes it hard, right? I think some people are gonna waste sprints more than others. But it was good to debate. I think it was good to debate. Anyways, let's wrap up Piastri there. Majority of you guys saying 9, so we agree. I think both Max and Piastri, I'm torn between 8.5 and 9. I couldn't decide. But anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the driver ratings. Overall, though, I think for the most part, that was a pretty easy driver ratings in the sense of, like, the sessions were pretty boring. Not much really changed. It was pretty easy to rate the drivers. But then there was a few drivers like Lewis, Piastri, Lando, Max, Russell, who were, like, up and down throughout the weekend, or it's like, you could argue one rating, you could argue a lower rating. Like, I don't know. But it was good to debate it. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining me for the driver ratings. If you enjoyed, be sure to follow it down below. We do this every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend. So join me next Monday after the next Monday, this coming Monday, after the Hungarian Grand Prix. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come join us on Twitch. We're always live over here. We're going to be live for a little bit longer. But yeah, that is the place where you can vote on the polls. But yeah, YouTube, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be sure to subscribe down below. Catch you guys later.